Hi, Michael.
Hi. I'm actually Zach. I was told to join this meeting because I won an award.
All right, one moment.
Congratulations, Michael, on your award. Just looking to confirm phone number 208-5444.
Legislator Will Pack.
Thank you. Just confirming members of the administration, you can hear us okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here, about 30 seconds. The August 11th, 2020 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll? Mr. Alcoffer.
Here.
Mr. Alcoffer is present. Mr. Ansello.
Here.
Mr. Ansello is present. Ms. Barnhart.
Barnhart?
Hear me?
Yes, Ms. Barnhart is present. Mr. Baroff?
Here.
Mr. Baroff is present. Mr. Baines?
Here.
Mr. Baines is present. Ms. Boyce?
Here.
Ms. Boyce is present. Mr. Brew? President Carbone?
Here.
President Carbone is present. Mr. Delahanty?
Here.
Mr. Delahanty is present. Ms. DeFlorio?
Here.
Ms. DeFlorio is present. Mr. Dondorfer?
Here.
Mr. Dondorfer is present. Mr. Felder?
Here.
Mr. Felder is present. Mr. Flagler Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Flagler Mitchell is present. Ms. Hassman?
Here.
Ms. Hassman is present. Mr. Hebert?
Here.
Mr. Hebert is present. Mr. Keofet Lacey?
Here.
Mr. Keofet Lacey is present. Ms. Lamar?
Here.
Ms. Lamar is present. Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Lee is present. Mr. Mafucci?
Here.
Mr. Mafucci is present. Mr. Marionetti?
Here.
Mr. Marionetti is present. Mr. Morelli?
Here.
Mr. Morelli is present. Ms. Roman?
Here.
Ms. Roman is present. Ms. Smith?
Here.
Smith is present. Ms. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Taylor is present. Mr. Turp?
Here.
Mr. Turp is present. Mr. Wilcox?
Here.
Mr. Wilcox is present. Mr. Wilt?
Here.
Mr. Wilt is present. Mr. Udelson?
Here.
Mr. Udelson is present. Mr. Zale?
Here.
Mr. Zale is present. Mr. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Brew is present.
We'll need to suspend the rules of the legislature for the purpose of prohibiting public in-person attendance in accordance with Executive Order 202.1, which was extended through September 4th by Executive Order 202.55. You have a motion before you which is moved by Legislator Brew and seconded by Legislator Zale. This is a non-debatable motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I would like to introduce and welcome Reverend Raquel Serrano of Parachurch Hand Foundation, who has been invited by Legislator Roman to lead us in a moment of prayer.
Good evening, legislators and county and city officials. I thank you for the opportunity to present today as chaplain for the month. Would you join me in prayer? Gracious Lord, great are you. You are worthy of praise. No one can measure your greatness. Therefore, this evening we exalt your name and we ask you for your guidance and your blessing. As tonight unfolds, we come in agreement that your wisdom will permeate the atmosphere. You have given each of these dedicated men and women a charge to serve the great people of our country and our county. Many difficult, sensitive, and important decisions will be made and or presented. We ask that every heart will be open to hear what is just and fair. The leaders in this forum have been working fervently for the almost 800,000 people in Monroe County, and it has been a trying and tiring season, yet you give strength to the weary. Creative ideas have overflown, and I declare, as your word states in Jeremiah 29:7, as each person in government seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which you have carried them, because they have prayed to you, and as it prospers, they too will prosper. Let courage, humbleness, and wisdom be their trait as servant leaders. I pray that unity over differences would reign for the good of all. We realize these are unprecedented times, yet we proclaim as the prophet Isaiah declared, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary. His understanding is beyond searching out. He gives power to the faint and increases the strength of the weak. Even youth grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." So today, with abiding faith and assurance, I pray for the peace, healing, and strength of each community represented, each family member, and each constituent. Let Rochester and its vicinities continue to arise through the work set before us. Let all 29 districts shine, prosper, and conquer any negative pressure. We call upon this good news. Let your favor fall upon each person here today and all who listen to this live broadcast. We invoke your presence on these proceedings. In the name of the Almighty, we pray and we say, thank you, Jesus. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, Reverend. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Please stand as Legislator Linda Hasman will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the
of
flag
the United States of America
United States of America.
And to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it
Republic
stands,
stands
one nation, under
One
God,
under
nation,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty
justice for all.
liberty,
for all.
justice for all.
Thank you, Legislator Hasman. Without objection, we will take agenda item number 30 out of the regular agenda order. Mr. Clerk.
Item number 30, referral 20-0257, Young Citizen of the Year and Willie W. Lightfoot Youth Advocate of the Year recommendations.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislator Zale. Tonight, we're honoring the young men and women for the 2020 Young Citizen Award and the nominees for the Willie W. Lightfoot Youth Advocate Awards. Although we are holding the ceremony virtually this year, these members in our community still deserve the attention and honor to be recognized as Monroe County's outstanding youth and youth advocates. I must say this is truly an incredible event. This award ceremony was established by the county legislature as one of the highest honors for youth and adult leadership, community service, advocacy, and perseverance. Thank you to County Executive Adam Bello and the members of the Rochester-Monroe County Youth Board for partnering with us to help us shine a spotlight on our award recipients. I am very proud of our youth board and their extraordinary dedication to serving our community's youth. I'd also like to thank Youth Bureau staff for their tireless efforts in creating and implementing youth programs and services that benefit our children. Each of tonight's honorees is unique and inspirational in their own way. All of them help make our community a place where all of our families can succeed. And needless to say, we are so proud of all of you. These are the upcoming leaders of our community, and the success of our future depends on the spirit, talent, and involvement. Leadership is so important to a community, and when I see what you have already accomplished, it gives me great hope and confidence in our future. To the adults we recognize tonight, thank you for serving as role models who our youth can look up to and believe in. The youth advocates we recognize this evening understand that the young people of our community are our greatest asset. Thank you for giving your time and making a real difference. To all of our award winners, please know that we do value and appreciate all the great things you do. Thank you for your hard work and commitment. Congratulations on a job well done. Now let's begin with our 2020 recipients. At this time, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 2nd Legislative District. Legislator Jackie Smith and Legislator Steve Brew have some remarks on these extraordinary individuals.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to recognize Molly Krautz, is very active in the 4-H program through Cornell Cooperative Education Extension. She's been learning and growing for the past 7 years through this program, even taking on a number of leadership opportunities.
Thank you, Legislator Smith. I would also like to add that Molly is a representative of the 4-H Horse Education Committee in Monroe County, where she gets the meeting room prepared for guests and shares her opinions. She's an excellent student, a passionate equestrian, and a youth who completes a number of service projects.
Our next recipient is Jeffrey Yu. Jeff lives his life with a focus on community service. During the week, many community members can see Jeff walk by wheeling a push cart full of food and delivering it to the Brockport food shelf. This act showed Jeffrey's commitment to reduce food waste and food insecurity to the people in our community. Jeffrey started Eastern Coast Food Conservation Organization, not-for-profit, an important worldwide conservation issue. Jeff is top of his class, a member of the Student Council, the Mastermind Team, Chess Club, Band, Choir, and Jazz Ensemble. Outside of school, Jeffrey is a volunteer at the Harvest Kitchen and St. Luke's Episcopal Church. Next, we have Kate Beeler and her 2 fellow Girl Scouts who purchased the supplies necessary to build 3 little libraries throughout our community. The little libraries are installed at the Sweden Clarkson Recreation Center, the Hefner Park in Clarkson, and the Hamlin Beach, with a purpose to encourage community spirit and promoting book exchanges. Even when the little library in Clarkson was vandalized, Kate and her friends showed their commitment to community service and took it upon themselves to step up and build another one for us. Next is Julia Nenny. Julia also is a Girl Scout and worked with her 2 fellow Girl Scouts to install those 3 little libraries I spoke about. The little libraries help inspire reading in all residents, as well as to encourage a community spirit by promoting book exchanges at these locations. Julia and the Girl Scouts purchased the item needed, built, painted, and installed the little libraries, proving Julia's compassion and social responsibility to give back.
Thank you, Legislator Smith. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 3rd Legislative District. Legislator Tracy DeFlorio has some remarks on these individuals.
Thank you, Dr. Carbone. Mitchell Sauer. Mitchell Sauer is nominated as a hardworking, prepared, and admirable representative of the Child Life Fire Department. Mitchell has been with the Child Life Fire Department Explorer post since he was able to join and has been involved in every aspect of the post, from training to community outreach to department details. Mitchell brings a high level of enthusiasm, a desire to train and better his skills, more importantly, share his knowledge with others while being respectful and courteous to his fellow explorers, firefighters, and the public he interacts with. Frank Burkhart. Frank Burkhart was a volunteer for the 2019 Office for the Aging Fall Cleanup. He went above and beyond assisting with the Office for the Aging, Beat the Winter Blues event, and is an active participant and volunteer at various Monroe County intergenerational events. Fred's a young boy who dedicates his time to senior citizens in our community, well deserving of this award. Hannah Mance. Hannah has been very involved in the community. She has 2 years of experience at Link Crew as a Link Crew leader at Churchville Valley High School, 4 years of executive council, 4 years of volunteering at the Unified Basketball, where she has always made everyone feel included, 4 years of experience on Youth Activation Committee, 4 years of Explorer Child Life Fire Department, where she has served as secretary, captain, and chief, 4 years assisting at Special Olympics, and 2 years of participating in the Polar Plunge, where she raised over $1,000 for Special Olympics. Her commitment to community is unparalleled. Caitlin Sipes. Next, I would like to thank Caitlin Sipes. Caitlin is actively involved in many volunteer activities through Pierce Church. These include food distribution of Thanksgiving baskets in Pierce Food Cupboard. She has participated in Flower City Work Camp, where high school students spend the spring break volunteering in the city of Rochester. She is also spends a large part of her summers volunteering at Lighthouse Christian Camp. Aside from volunteering, Caitlin is also very active during school. She is a member of Executive Council and Link Crew. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator DeFlorio. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 4th Legislative District. Legislator Frank Elkoffer has some remarks on these individuals.
Thank you, President Carbone. Bailey Pino is the next recipient of this award. Bailey was nominated for this honor by Doug Hansen the last 2 years to volunteer at Highland Hospital. She also enjoys spending time volunteering at local soup kitchens and Food Link. She is on track to reach 200 hours of service. Great job, Bailey. The next individual, Isabella Cowan-Vila. The next recipient of this award, Ms. Isabella Cowan-Vila, was nominated by Doug Hansen, a 2-year member of the Choices program. Isabella volunteered at Spencerport Maple Sugar Festival, St. Pete's Soup Kitchen, Food Link, Holiday Pirate Fund, Intergenerational Holiday Ball, and Parkinson's Walk, Ice Cream Social at nursing homes, freshman orientation, and freshman orientation training. Through her volunteer work, she has been a leader in her community.
Thank you, Legislator Elkoffer. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 5th Legislative District. Legislator Carla Boyce has some remarks on these individuals.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my honor to recognize the next recipient, Hannah Selke. She is the recipient of the Youth Citizen of the Year Award. Hannah is described as being kind, giving, and a leader in her community. Not only does she show commitment to both her academics and athletics, but she is also committed to serving the community. Hannah loves to work with children, whether it be through sports camps or the Cougar Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and she's extremely active in that program. She also has been an advocate for Best Buddies program and has been involved in establishing a program at her high school. Thank you so much, Hannah, and congratulations. Next, we have Thomas Dundon. He is a recipient, and Thomas was nominated by Jenna Cercioni. Thomas is described as being a leader and dedicated servant to the community. He has been a Rush Fire Department Explorer since 2016 and has grown to be a vital part of their family. He is always willing to help out around the fire station and has shown initiative to pursue a future in service. He has his certification in CPR and has passed a certified first responder course. Showing an interest in EMS, education and service, Thomas has pursued many opportunities and courses. He is dedicated to helping others. Congratulations, Thomas. The next recipient of the award is Zachary Farnham, who is nominated by Diane Witkowski and Jeffrey Summers. Zachary is a dedicated student and always willing to learn beyond what he has taught in the classroom. He is actively involved in his school choir, the first robotics team, the school's swim team, as well as the track team. He is described as being a leader in everything he does and is always willing to help a teammate or boost morale. Zach is also involved in Boy Scouts, where he is recognized for his dedication, leadership, and service. Zach embodies what it means to be a youth citizen in our community. Congratulations, Zach.
Thank you, Legislator Boyce. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 6th Legislative District. Legislator Fred Ansel has some remarks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Megan Havens is the next recipient of the Youth Citizen of the Year Award. She has been nominated by Claire Talbot, who is the teen librarian at the Greece Public Library. Megan is dedicated to serving her community through any opportunity she's given. She's a volunteer each summer for the library's summer reading program and is a member of their teen advisory board. She's often found aiding young children, whether that be in programs like tie-dye or in outreach events, or just simply aiding their book search at the library. On the teen advisory board, Megan has shown a great deal of leadership in organizing community outreach programs and volunteering at local town events. She's an excellent example of a young citizen in our community. Next we have Christine Burns. Christine was nominated also by Claire Talbot, who described her as being a leader in the Greece community. For the past 2 years, Christine has spent over 30 hours helping children at the Greece Public Library, whether that be through activities or just simply helping them log into a book. She's also a member of the Teen Advisory Board, representing the library at many community outreach events. She has shown initiative in working with young children and volunteering in our community, making her a great young citizen in the community. And we also have Rihanna Barney. Rihanna was nominated by Claire Talbot from the library. Rihanna has spent the majority of her time at the Greece Public Library involved in leadership and service. As a member of the Teen Advisory Board, she organizes many community events, community outreach events for the library, and volunteer events for the town of Greece. She dedicates at least 20 hours a year volunteering at library and town events. She's a wonderful recipient of the Youth Citizen of our community. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Ansello. Next, we have the winners. From the 7th Legislative District, Legislator Brian Marinetti has some remarks on this individual.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fiona Grana is the next recipient and was nominated by Kristen Capiello, a teacher at Odyssey Academy. She has been described as being a dedicated student and kind classmate by those who know her. She pushes herself to not only excel in the classroom, but to excel in all areas of her life. She's involved in youth ministry and dance, as well as has a part-time job. Congratulations, Fiona.
Thank you, Legislator Marinetti. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 9th Legislative District. Legislator Paul Dondorfer has some remarks.
Thank you, President Carbone. Our first recipient is Dominic Porto. He is a volunteer at Browncroft Community Church as a greeter for Sunday services. He's a member and leader of the Source of Strength program at Penfield High School. This is a youth suicide prevention project designed to harness the power of peer social networks to change unhealthy norms in culture, to prevent suicide, bullying, and substance abuse. Dominic is a member of the school baseball and wrestling programs and has been a part of the Penfield Public Library's annual used book sale. It is no secret how committed Dominic is to the community service, making him an ideal candidate for this award. Next is Thomas Wharton. Thomas is very involved in the Penfield community, making him a good candidate for the Youth Award. He volunteers at Browncroft Community Church in the tech department, running a camera for Sunday services. He is also a member of the well-respected Unified basketball team. Thomas has been to El Salvador on mission trips through Young Life for the last 3 years and is on the school baseball team. Lily Jacobson of Penfield is the next recipient of the Youth Citizen Award. Lily is an active member of the Penfield High School community and specifically their high school cheerleading program. Not only has she been named the varsity cheer captain, but each year she serves as a model of leadership and service to the rest of her team. Lily has organized donations for the Penfield Food Shelf for the past 3 years. She is always enthusiastic to lead the team in this service project, and each year makes it fun for the other members of her team. She also is an active member with the local organization Best Buddies. And then finally, we have Brianna Bijou. The next recipient is a graduate of Our Lady of Mercy School for Young Women. Brianna is described by friends and family as being a ray of light and a role model to those around her. She is devoted to giving back to others, whether that be through her pursuit of different service opportunities or her commitment to serving as a second mom to her younger sister. Brianna was nominated for this award by Emily Cady, the Director of Wellness at Our Lady of Mercy School for Young Women. She is preparing to begin studies to study biology at the University of Pittsburgh this fall. Congratulations to all the recipients.
Thank you, Legislator Dondorfer. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 15th District. Legislator George Hebert has some remarks.
Thank you, President Carbone. The first award winner in my district is Ariella Cortez. She's been nominated for this award by Haley Radiker and has been described as the selfless leader in our community. She is an active member on the Youth as Resources Philanthropy Board and is a regular volunteer for many different Monroe County senior events. Ariella was also named the 2019 Latinas Unitas Youth Latina Leader. She exemplifies what it means to be a youth leader in our community. Congratulations. My second and final award winner is Jaden Cortez. Jaden has received this Youth Citizen of the Year award for her dedication to serving the community. Jaden has been nominated again by Haley Radiker. She has served as a president of the Youth as Resources Philanthropy Board, organizing numerous service opportunities in the community. She is also a co-founder of a service project called Green Teens, a project to pass out your own lettuce boxes to seniors. Back to you, President Carbone.
Thank you, Legislator Hebert. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 17th Legislative District. Legislator Brew and Legislator Morelli will have the chance to speak on these individuals. Legislator Brew.
I'm sorry, I would like to start over again since I was accidentally muted. Again, thank you. Thank you, President Carbone. The Youth Advocate Award I'm speaking about is Kathy Lee. Kathy Lee is being nominated for the Youth Advocate Award because of her volunteerism with 4-H for the past 25 years. She works with the youth in the Busy Bees program on a variety of service, gardening, and public speaking activities. Through the club, she and the children have created sweet treats for the Ronald McDonald House, completed projects for St. John's Home, and have supported Honor Flight of Rochester. Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I too would like to congratulate Kathy Lee on the Youth Advocate of the Year Award and all of her accomplishments. In addition, I would like to recognize Hannah Ruth, who is receiving the Young Citizens of the Year Award. She was nominated by her school counselor, Lori Purcell, and the director of family ministries at the Browncroft Community Church, Joshua Eisenhart. Hannah is described by members of our community as a leader who is dedicated to serving others, dedicated to her academics, will be continuing her education at the University of Buffalo. She has selflessly spent her spring breaks working for the Flower City Work Camp, helping remodel homes for struggling families. Her dedication to helping others extends well beyond our community as she travels outside of our city to do service in other communities. So, Mr. President, I would again like to congratulate Kathy Lee and Hannah Ruth, along with all the other Youth Award recipients for this evening. And I thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to recognize.
Thank you, legislators. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 19th Legislative District. Legislators Kathy Taylor and Steve Brew have some remarks.
Thank you, President Carbone. I'd like to recognize Kaylin Lopez. Kaylin has volunteered her time to be engaged in service learning workshops and activities. Kaylin has demonstrated leadership, commitment, and passion to giving back to the community through her involvement in the Aspiria Mentoring Program, through Ibero-American Action League, and through the 4-H Unity Program through Cornell Cooperative Extension. Legislator Taylor.
Thank you, Legislator Brew. I'd also like to add that Caitlin has also volunteered with the Verona Animal Shelter, where she created dog toys to be donated to the shelter. She delivered these homemade toys and spent time with the dogs at the shelter. Next, we have Isabella Rosati. She was nominated for the Youth Citizen of the Year Award by Doug Hansen. Isabella is described as being unconditionally devoted to serving others. She not only volunteers at Unity Hospital, but she's also in a Big Sisters at Terry Taylor Elementary School. Isabella is dedicated to serving the Rochester community, helping out in local charity fundraisers and organizations. She is on track to reach 200 hours of volunteering. President
Thank
Carbone?
you very much, legislators. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 20th Legislative District. Legislator Zale, Legislator DeFlorio, and Legislator Smith will now speak about these young citizens.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to congratulate McKenna Nichols and her two other Girl Scout recipients that I spoke about earlier. She was involved as well in building the 3 libraries throughout the community from the planning stages until the end. The little libraries even had their own themes for each location, which included the sports theme for the rec center, the outdoors theme for the Clarkson area, and the lake for the Hamlin Beach. The girls spent their summer creating, building, and installing the 3 little libraries, showing how committed and compassionate the young girls are to community service.
I would just like to add that McKenna's contributions to the Girl Scouts have made our community a better place to live, and we're extremely grateful for her service.
The next recipient is Jada Ward. Jada has been involved with the Legos robotics team. She has also been a mentor of the Lego team that she used to be a participant of for the last 2 years. In addition to her extensive devotion to mentoring the team and encouraging the all-girl Lego Robotics team, Jada has also spent the last year encouraging and leading the girls to make meals and blankets to be delivered to a local homeless shelter. Legislator Zale.
Thank you, Legislator DeFloria. I'd like to add that Jada is a member of the Lego Club, where she participates in the annual charity basketball game and chicken barbecue. Jada is all about teamwork, compassion, innovation, thinking, and giving back. Great qualities for this award. Next is Eleni Campbell, a mature young adult who stands up for what she believes in. She actively engages in class dialogue and makes class conversation rich with her insights, comments, and efforts. She is a good student who continues to grow in her leadership, and she employs strategies that she's learned through her participation as a member of the Declare Action to Shift Humanity to Change. Eleni focuses on school, all while maintaining employment at Wegmans. Congratulations. Next is a person I want to talk about named Gianna Cutana. Gianna is a student at Our Lady of Mercy School for Young Women. For her senior capstone project, she held the Be Confidently You fashion show at Shadow Lake. This successful event raised over $2,300 for Out of Darkness, an organization that advocates for suicide prevention. Gianna constantly challenges herself academically. She is a nationally accomplished lacrosse player, and her disciplined, compassionate, and focused attitude are found on and off the field. Congratulations. Christina Ferraro is an optimistic student at Churchville Chili High School and is the next award recipient. She's always focusing on the positive and challenging herself. Despite struggling with anxiety her entire life, causing her to miss school sometimes, Christina still is willing to try new strategies to help ease her anxiety and do whatever it takes to be successful. She's a great student who takes AP and IB classes and is constantly looking to better herself and help others. Congratulations. Megan Shapansky is a student at Churchville Chili and is the next award recipient. She's always challenging herself with classes such as physics, pre-calculus, Spanish 4, etc. Megan could be described as resilient, but despite numerous health struggles, Megan has remained fiercely dedicated to her studies and to her goal of getting into college to become a special education teacher. She is compassionate, personable, and optimistic. Megan is authentic to everyone she encounters. Congratulations. Next is Natalie Rivoli, the she is a former student at Our Lady of Mercy School for Young Women. Natalie is described by those around her as both dedicated and a strong, fierce, and loyal friend. Not only did she push herself in the classroom, taking many honors and advanced placement courses during her high school career, but she also pursued leadership positions in Rochester's branch of the New York State Youth and Government Program. Natalie led more than 45 students in the club's legislative branch, teaching new members how to construct bills. She also participated in the annual planning of the state conference with members from all over the state. Natalie plans on pursuing a future in architecture, and as she continues her studies at Penn State University. The next young citizen to recognize is Sale Sack, a recent graduate of Spencerport High School. Sale was nominated by Melissa Garofalo, who describes Sale as being a model of perseverance and hard work. After his cancer diagnosis before his junior year and the treatment and surgery that followed that fall, Sale never lost touch of his coursework or responsibilities. Returning to school his junior year, he continued to pursue extracurricular, rigorous courses, student government, all while maintaining both an in-school job and out-of-school job. Sale plans to attend St. John's University to study accounting. Congratulations, Sale. Sophia Moran is the next recipient of the Young Citizen Award. Sophia was nominated by Amy Gillette, her school counselor, and is described as being compassionate and an extraordinarily hard worker. Sophia is a member of the student government and a vital member of her school's community. When she is not pushing herself in the classroom, she enjoys volunteering at Highland Hospital Emergency Room. When she is older, she hopes to pursue a career as a nurse. Congratulations, Sophia. Taylor Lawbacher is the next recipient of the award. She is also a recent recipient of the Dennis Pelletier Youth Hall of Fame Award, and is a recent graduate of Spencerport High School. Taylor is described by those around her as a hard worker and a positive light in the Spencerport community. Not only has she excelled academically, being a member of both the National Honor Society and French Honor Society, but she also has excelled tremendously in her athletic career. Taylor has received 9 varsity letters and has been inducted into the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame, and has been the cheerleading and indoor track team captains. She also served as treasurer of her class, a member of the service club and French club. Cora Gaffney is the next recipient. Cora was nominated by 2 members of the Gates Library community, Heidi Jung and Sarah Johnson. Both of these women describe Cora as selflessly serving and helping others. She is a committed leader to so many young members of the Gates community and actively participates in fundraising and service. Having autism herself, Cora actively encourages her intellectually and developmentally disabled peers into believing and knowing that they can do anything they put their mind to. We commend all Cora has done for the Gates community, and we wish her success in the future. Next is Emma Sayudam. She is described by those around her as a leader. She has spent 2 years as a big sister at Terry Taylor Elementary School, serving as a guide and role model for her little sister. Emma also enjoys spending time helping out at charity fundraisers and working at soup kitchens. She is on track to reach 125 hours of service. Congratulations, Emma. David Brescia was also nominated for this award by Doug Hansen. Serving in the Choices program, David has volunteered at Agape Physical Therapy, St. Pete's Soup Kitchen, Aurora House, and at the Pirate Toy Fund. He exemplifies a youth citizen for all of his dedicated service to this community. Congratulations. Hannah Feely is the next recipient of the Youth Citizen of the Year Award. Hannah has given back to the community tremendously in many different ways. Hannah has volunteered as a big sister at Munn Elementary School, set up the service learning internship involvement with the Girls on the Run program, volunteered at Food Link, St. Peter's Soup Kitchen, Terry Taylor Elementary, Trunk or Treat, the Aurora House, and volunteered at the Pirate Toy Fund Monroe County Holiday event at the Blue Cross Arena. She has shown a dedication to service and leadership in the community. The next recipient of the award is Nathaniel Dickinson, nominated by Doug Hansen. Doug describes Nate as being one in a million. He is devoted to helping and caring for others. He has been an active volunteer around the greater Rochester area, volunteering at the Hilton Apple Fest, Hilton Treasure Trek, Aurora House, the St. Peter Soup Kitchen, Camp Good Days and Special Times, Special Olympics, and others. Nate is on track to reach 250 hours of volunteer service. Congratulations to all of the award recipients, and I apologize if I messed up anybody's name. President.
Thank you, Legislator Zale. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 21st Legislative District. Legislator Brew and Legislator Barnhart will have the chance to speak on these individuals.
Thank you, President Carbone. I would like to recognize Gisele Ortega as being nominated because she is a role model for her peers and has encouraged her peers to also give back to the community. Gisele has volunteered in various community service projects, leadership workshops, and civic engagement activities. She is an active volunteer at Ibero-American Action League, 4-H Unity Program, Harry Potter Alliance, and Verona Animal Shelter. Legislator Barnhart.
Sorry, I'm having a moment. I can't find my document. Legislator Brew, if you want to continue reading, that's fine.
The next one, Legislator Barnhart, is not mine. So I would have to defer to Legislative District.
I can read that. I can do that for you, Legislator Barnhart. The next recipient of this award is Israel Moman Rodriguez, who was nominated by Natalie Fabretti and Paul Stack. Israel is a dedicated student, always willing to push himself the extra mile. He has begun taking college level classes through MCC to push himself academically. He is always willing to ask for help and better himself academically. He also shows an extreme amount of respect and kindness, always willing to help out his teachers and fellow students when they need help. He also serves as a leader in the young men's group called MARK, Men Advancing Raising Knowledge. Israel is involved in their Police Teen Talent Slam, which is a talent show hosted to improve police and community relationships and trust. He is a model recipient of the Youth Citizen Award. Thank you, legislators. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 26th Legislative District. Legislator Alcoffer and Legislator Roman will have the chance to speak on these individuals.
Thank you, Mr. President. Zachary May is being nominated for the Youth Advocate Award for his commitment to the Gates community. Zach has been a recreation site supervisor for Gates Recreation and Parks Department since 2018. Here he provides high-quality after-school recreational services and care to elementary school children. Additionally, Zach is a member of the Gates Conservation Advisory Board and parish council member at St. Theodore's Church. Good job, Zachary. Legislator Roman.
Perfect, thank you. I too would like to congratulate Zachary May on his award for Youth Advocate of the Year. Zach is described as being a part of all of the things that were just mentioned, but he's also described as having a big heart and a great young man. Zach, we'd like to say thank you for doing all that you do for our community, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, legislators. Next, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 27th Legislative District. Legislator Brew and Legislator Lamar will have this chance to speak on these individuals.
Thank you, President Carbone. The recipient is Angel Sepulveda Lopez, is a rising 8th grader at Eugenio Maria del Hostas Charter School. Angel has voiced ideas and solutions on ways to serve his community. In 2019, Angel was involved in the Ibero Coat Away Drive to provide support for community members that were seeking resources. Angel assisted his time making cards for the people who attended the event and helping individuals select their coat. In addition, he was involved in the Aspira mentoring program through Ibero-American Action League and the 4-H Unity program through Cornell Cooperative Extension. Legislator Lamar.
Thank you, Legislator Brew. I just want to also mention that Angel was also received the Young Citizen of the Year Award. Thank you very much, Angel, for everything that you do in our community, and keep rising to the top. Thank you.
Thank you, legislators. Lastly, I'd like to recognize award winners from the 29th Legislative District. Legislator Ernest Flagler Mitchell will have the chance to speak on these individuals.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to recognize and congratulate Tatiana Spencer. She has been nominated for this award by her school counselor, Christine Resch, and English teacher, Gina Poretta Baker. Tatiana is described by those who know her as a passionate leader. Tatiana is a member of the school student government, where she has coordinated Rock to Change Race Summit, which are collaborations with schools all over the county to improve race relations within Monroe County. That's what I'm talking about. She is also the Rochester City School District School Leadership Congress and services as a student representative to the Board of Education. Tatiana was also a student representative to the State of the Student address to Governor Cuomo. Congratulations, Tatiana. You are a rising star.
Thank you to all the legislators that we have heard from this evening. As you can see, Monroe County is full of talented, passionate, and generous young people. This year, more than ever, it is important that these individuals who make our community such a great place to live are recognized for their accomplishments. Award winners, your certificates of recognition will be sent through the mail in the coming weeks. I look forward to the 2021 Youth Awards and hope that we'll be able to join in person to celebrate. Thank you all.
After the yellow highlight.
Where do I go?
After the yellow. Keep going back.
Okay.
No, keep going back.
That concludes our nomination. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of awarding the nominated recipients, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Your copies of the journals of day 14, July 14th, 2020, day 15, July 21st, 2020, and day 16, July 30th, 2020, are available through Novus Agenda. Without exception, the journal will stand approved as submitted. This meeting has been closed to the public, and all legislators are participating via teleconference in accordance with Executive Order 202.1 and 202.55. In keeping with the legislature's tradition of openness, the meeting is being live streamed on YouTube through the legislature's official channel. Everyone participating via video or teleconference will please mute their devices except to obtain the floor or cast a vote. If seeking to obtain the floor, please simply state your name and wait for me to call on you before proceeding with your question or statement. The clerk will read the full title of each resolution and referral to avoid any confusion as to which item is before the legislature. All votes will be held via voice vote unless a roll call is requested. Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are available on Novus Agenda as well as online. There are no proclamations scheduled for this evening. We will now recess for the purpose of holding a public hearing. Those wishing to address the legislature for the scheduled public hearing were instructed to call a conference line. That line has been patched into this meeting. I now declare open the public hearing entitled Adoption of 2021-2026 Capital Improvement Program.
Is there anyone on the line wishing to address the legislature on this matter?
Seeing none, I declare this public hearing closed. We will now reconvene the August 11th, 2020 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold the public forum. Mr. Clerk.
We have a number of individuals who sent in email comments to be read as part of the public forum. First email comes from Emma Mason. My name is Emma Mason, and I am the victim of the hit and run incident that occurred during a BLM peaceful protest in Hilton, New York on June 13th. I heard commotion and panic coming from behind me when I noticed a car was pushing through our crowd. Our crowd of 75 to 100, including babies and children, was being attacked by a 19-year-old man on his way to work. As a child care provider myself, I ran in front of the children, who I saw were in the line of the car pathway, to protect them. We urged the young man to stop his car. We had people directing traffic for various alternative routes. He did not stop. In fact, he sped up. All the others who came through town were able to get to their destinations via these alternative routes. This 19-year-old who claims confusion is simply a lie. You don't smirk when you hit people and call it confusion. Everyone knows that using a car as a weapon is not okay. While it may not have sustained incredible injury, I was bruised and sore for days. The emotional toll has taken a toll on me and has been immense. Hitting a person in the street, failing to alert the police, failing to stay until police arrived is not cooperation. That is a privileged young man who thinks he can get away with a crime. It is not right to let this person go uncharged. I only wish this person to be charged with leaving the scene of a crime and failing to report an accident. He needs to learn a lesson. He is an adult and should be treated as such, but he is still young enough to be able to learn and grow from his mistakes. If he does not learn this lesson, who knows how many more people he may hurt. Please help us feel safe in our community. Our next email comes from Mark Oyer. My name is Mark Oyer. I live in the village of Hilton. Here's my statement, yet again, for the county legislature regarding this crime for which the sheriff has apparently not taken any further action. Sheriff Baxter must, 1, charge 19-year-old Matthew Flagg with hit and run according to New York State Vehicular and Traffic Law, Section 602A, for the crime I witnessed him commit as described further below. 2, retract MCSO's erroneous and intentionally misleading press release to the media, minimizing the seriousness of the incident and shifting of blame. 3, have an open meeting with Emma Mason, her supporters, citizens concerned with justice and accountability, who we promised in a July 23rd meeting to follow up with in one setting. On Saturday, June 13, 2020, my family and I attended a Black Lives Matter protest in our village of Hilton, where I witnessed a person drive their car into the people who were protesting at the Main Street intersection. 50 or more people had marched along Main Street and peacefully assembled in the intersection and in the crosswalks and on the sidewalks as part of the protest. I was standing on the north side of the intersection with a view of the 3 streets that converge there. Almost an hour into the protest, I saw a red car stop by the crosswalk line on Main Street facing the intersection. There were many people in and around crosswalks across Main Street and the intersecting street and on the corner. People were speaking and holding signs in support of racial justice. From a stooped podium, the red car then accelerated into these people driving into the intersection and then started to turn right onto the intersecting street. People were yelling at the driver to stop, but the driver continued, pushing numerous people out of the way with their cars and partly driving onto the sidewalk and the corner. As the driver turned further right into more people, causing them to have to jump out of the way, the car hit a woman on the front left side of the car with so much force that she was slammed onto the hood of the car and appeared to bounce off the car. It looked like she was knocked to the ground, and I figured that she had been pulled under the car. But at that point, I could not see the ground where she was because people had gathered to help. As the woman was hit by the car, the driver continued to accelerate the car faster and proceed to drive away at a higher rate of speed. Our next comment comes from Bethany Oyer. Sheriff Baxter must, 1, charge 19-year-old Matthew Flagg with hit and run according to New York State Vehicular and Traffic Law, Section 602A, for the crime I witnessed him commit as described further below. 2, retract MCSO's erroneous and intentionally misleading press release to the media, minimizing the seriousness of the incident and shifting blame. 3, have a full open meeting with Emma Mason and her supporters, citizens concerned with justice and accountability, we promised in a July 23rd meeting to follow up with in one setting. I was at Black Lives Matter rally in the village of Hilton, New York on Saturday, June 13, 2020. The rally was from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. There were 50 or more protesters, including me and my husband and children, and we marched on Main Street headed east. We assembled in the main intersection at 259 in Main. During the protest, a young white male in a red Honda Prius accelerated at the peaceful protesters right into 20 or so people that were in the crosswalk area where he turned right. He had been stopped about 10 or more feet from the protesters, then he accelerated, and his car bumped and plowed through people. I was at his driver's door yelling for him to stop. I could see his arms were straight and high on the steering wheel, and it looked like he was pushing hard, and his hands looked to be wrapped very tight on the steering wheel. His head was angled down with his eyes focused straight ahead, and he had a big smile on his face. We were scrambling to get him out of the way because he started going faster. His original right turn trajectory meant that he drove up onto the sidewalk. His car was facing the people there, and he started speeding up even more. People were having to run backwards to avoid being run over and just to get to the other side. A woman was directly in front of him, and he accelerated and hit her with enough force that her upper body slammed on the front of his car with her arms extended. She caught herself on the hood by her hands and was trying so hard to escape. She was running backward with her hands on the car and then managed to get out of his way on the driver's side. I think she fell. The young man sped away. Everyone seemed to be in shock, and I know I was holding my breath because it looked as though the young woman might get seriously hurt. Next comment comes from Rosalind Walker. Regarding Sheriff Todd Baxter and the Monroe County Sheriff's Office handling of the hit and run that occurred at the Hilton Black Families Matter rally on June 13, 2020, many in the community are disheartened, frustrated, and angered by the stonewalling, gaslighting, and lack of justice for Emma, the victim of the hit and run, as well as near victims of that crime. And yes, it is a crime. A driver hitting a person with their motor vehicle, leaving the scene, and not initiating the reporting of an incident is a crime under New York State Vehicular and Traffic Law 602A and associated laws, period. Yet, as obvious as the crime is, after the driver was found, he has not been charged nor held accountable for any of the laws he broke. As a matter of fact, he appears to have been coddled and protected by MCSO leadership. It appears you and MCSO willingly took the jaded words of the perpetrator, 19-year-old Matthew Flagg, over the words of dozens of eyewitnesses present there on the street. The perpetrator being someone who smirked and then revved up his car in demonstrable anger, drove through a crowd unnecessarily while everyone else took the easy detour, hit a person while a couple of other people were pulled out of the way in the nick of time, then fled the scene and did not report the incident. People know road rage when they see it. You will not succeed in gaslighting them, as you tried to do with the blatantly false narrative your office disseminated to the media. We are well experienced with police departments using the media to cover up, victim smear, and undermine civilian complaints and protests. Since MCSO did nothing to thwart this type of crime, the victim has been subjected to relentless bullying in social media and by those feeling emboldened by MCSO's lack of enforcement. Again, all of this adds to the injury and makes the incident worse. This is exactly the type of biased law enforcement behavior and misconduct the rally was protesting. This is not enforcing the law with impartiality. Sheriff Baxter, whether your refusal to hold the driver accountable for any of the crimes he committed is based on animosity towards the BLM cause and protest, or because you are doing a favor for someone connected to a political and law enforcement circles. It demonstrates lack of integrity, but also reveals insincerity to the community policing initiatives you espouse in public. I'm also going to read a comment submitted by Ms. Walker for the July 14th legislature that was inadvertently not read at that time. I am writing to address Sheriff Todd Baxter and the Monroe County Sheriff's Office handling of the hit and run that occurred at the Hilton Black Lives Matter rally on June 13, 2020. Many in the community are disheartened, frustrated, and angry by the stonewalling, gaslighting, and lack of justice for the victims of the hit and run, Emma, as well as near victims of that crime. Also duly noted, Sheriff Baxter and the MCSO willingly took the jaded word of someone who revved up his car in demonstrable anger, drove through a crowd unnecessarily, hit a person while a couple others were pulled away out of the nick of time, and fled the scene and did not report the incident over the many eyewitnesses present there on the street. This adds to the insult to the injury and is exactly the type of biased law enforcement behavior and misconduct the rally is protesting. This is not enforcing the law with impartiality. Chief Baxter, I don't know if your refusal to hold the driver accountable for any of the crimes he committed is based on animosity towards the BLM cause and protest, or because you are doing a favor for someone connected to a political and law enforcement circles, but either way, it demonstrates a lack of integrity and is disingenuous to community policing initiatives you oppose in public. As important, what a terrible disservice to the young woman hit by the car whose experience you have gaslighted and minimized with that blatantly false narrative your office sent to the press saying a protester brushed up against a passing car and that the driver was alarmed, attempting to squash her voice and those who were with her. We know those buzzwords, smear tactics, and dog whistles well, and how police departments too often use the media to undermine civilian complaints and protests. Intimidating and hitting protesters with vehicles is nothing new under the sun and has been happening all over the country during the recent protests as a violent means to silence protesters. Emma and those near the car and driver saw the anger in the face of the man who drove into them. People know road rage when they see it. You will not be allowed to gaslight them. The question is whether law enforcement and the judicial system will be impartial and provide justice for all. Since MCSO did nothing to thwart this type of crime, the victim has been subject to relentless bullying in social media by those feeling emboldened by MCSO's lack of enforcement. Sheriff Baxter, you and the MCSO have committed an injustice and it is unacceptable. No more status quo with public officials talking one thing in front of the camera and to church and community leaders to whom they are trying to gain favor with, but not walking it with integrity behind the scenes. You recently spoke about the need for law enforcement officers' hearts to be pierced and empathetically speaking. Start with the man in the mirror. Right is right and wrong is wrong. This will not be allowed to be swept under the rug. Hold the driver of that Hilton hit and run accountable. Charge him and turn the case over to the courts. Our next public comment comes from Karen Schidler. Recently, I attended a Black Lives Matter rally in Hilton, New York. The rally was well organized and full of rich speakers and music to help educate the public about the oppression that Black Americans face in our community. It was honest and thoughtful. I was touched that the speakers were willing to express their trauma and love for humanity so publicly. The rally processed like larger rallies I've attended down West Ave with participants marching in the street and drummers supporting the chants of Black Lives Matter. But in absence of the Sheriff's Department, participants had to close the streets themselves. When we arrived at the intersection of West and South Ave, the protesters stopped, circled up, and continued with guest speakers. Participants were forced to block the intersections because the MCPD had still not arrived to protect and redirect traffic. I moved to the east side of the intersection and was helping to direct traffic with a few other participants. The speakers continued as children were in the center to wait their turn to speak. I was fearful as many cars, upon approaching the intersection, were revving their engines, staring me down, yelling and threatening to keep driving. There was one car in particular that an older woman in a blue car with a handicap sign hanging from her mirror stared at me and even advanced a few inches toward me. She stared at me through her sunglasses, and despite my calls to back up and go a different way, she refused and continued to stare at me down the street. When I turned, I could see it had done the same thing. At some point, I heard a black truck on the south side of the intersection sound like it was barreling down the street. When I turned, I could see it had done the same thing as what had just happened to me. It was standing right in front of some white protesters, revving its engine and refusing to back up. The truck eventually retreated, but did so by gunning his vehicle into reverse, almost hitting other cars. I also was made aware of a woman screaming on the west side of the intersection and saw a red car drive off. People were yelling to video the car. I realized that the car had not just hit a woman and drove off. None of this is in the police report. The facts of the protest are not accurate according to the MCPD and Sheriff Baxter. The intersection was left vulnerable for our rally until a participant was struck. The sheriff did not assist with the closing of the streets or the intersection as expected, and the streets have been closed down long enough and the red car knew that he needed to back up. Our next comment comes from Ted McWhorf. Before renaming Rochester's airport, please consider calling it Rochester Frederick Douglass International Airport. Note that Charlotte, North Carolina Airport is Charlotte Douglass International Airport. Adding the city name helps to identify the airport's location. Thank you. Our next comment comes from Megan Thompson. I would like to state my support for the DAP resolution to be voted on in the next county legislature meeting. Our next public comment comes from Danielle Palermo Jimenez. I am a resident of Webster and a committee member of FIRE, Families Igniting Racial Equity, through our Webster School District. I am emailing in support of the bipartisan DAP legislation. I did give feedback to my county legislator representative, Matt Turp. I told him the following. Thank you for reaching out for feedback. Although this is only for county employees, I think just trying to increase ways to increase diversity in the workplace without teaching about discrimination in many areas and to educate those that are employed about their own bias, systematic racism, and pieces of training to broaden staff's information, whether it be historical, current, and self-awareness of their own perceptions will not fix what exists. Until those are in position of hiring are educated, this will continue to happen. He did respond that there will be a chief diversity officer that will oversee and offer some of the above-mentioned areas. So with that information added, I fully support this legislation. Thank you for reading my feedback. Our next email is from Martha White. I support and vote for the DAP plan. Our next statement is from Vancy Boyer. Dear County Executive and Monroe County Legislature, thank you for your time and leadership. I'm a National Council of Jewish Women, Greater Rochester Section Advocate, 400 members locally. The pandemic has wreaked havoc on our lives. The events of the June primary were a lesson to be learned from November. Today is an opportunity to work towards safe and secure elections for November 3rd. The issue does not favor Democrat or Republican or any political party, but reinforces our commitment to open and fair elections. I hope as leaders of our community, you will raise your collective voices to say we must have safe and accessible elections. Please allocate COVID-related funds to enhance the following. Countywide campaigns to encourage Monroe County residents to vote early. The impact is to alleviate congestion and prevent long lines on November 3rd. In addition, voters need to be assured all votes are counted regardless of when cast. And to encourage early voter registration for 17-year-olds and to register new voters. Recommend to the Board of Elections an increase in the number of early voting polling sites to inform the public of these locations early and often through radio, the press, and other social media. All communication should include information both in Spanish and English detailing times and locations with polling sites clearly marked. To set up short-term mobile polling sites during the early voting period in long-term care facilities accessible to residents only. This impacts approximately 5,000 residents. To encourage the Board of Elections to make being a poll worker easier and accessible. Reduce 15-hour shifts which favored retired cohort groups who are at most risk for COVID-19. Creatively incentivize young people to become poll workers, possibly through a student college debt forgiveness program. Recruit Spanish-speaking poll workers. Training for poll workers to start early. Encourage Governor Cuomo to extend no-excuse absentee voting. Mail-in voting is safe and another option that should be available to all Monroe County residents. I thank you for your time. Our next public comment is submitted jointly by Ricky Berdesky and Lisa Fangello. Good evening. We represent the 400+ members of the Greater Rochester section of the National Council of Jewish Women. We're going through unprecedented times, and come November, all of us will have to navigate voting during a dangerous pandemic. Never has it been so important that people exercise their constitutional right to vote, but they must be able to do so feeling confident and safe. We respectfully ask that the Monroe County Legislature consider allocating a portion of the $129 million COVID-related grant funds to the Board of Elections for the following activities. To increase the number of early voting sites in the county and double the number of early voting sites in the city of Rochester. To install voting machines during the early voting period in the 34 nursing homes located in the county so that residents can vote safely at home. We ask that no members of the public be allowed to use those machines while they're installed in nursing homes. Current estimates show between 5,000 and 5,500 nursing home residents in Monroe County. To publicize, encourage, and provide clear direction for voter registration in all areas of the county. To publicize in both English and Spanish the safety, ease, and availability of utilizing early voting sites and to encourage the use of them to avoid the long lines on November 3rd. To advocate for shorter poll worker shifts and provide extensive training for all poll workers. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Our next email comes from Karen MacArthur. As a member of the Board of Directors of the Greater Rochester chapter of the National Council of Jewish Women, I support our group's request that the county legislature allocate a portion of the $129 million COVID-related grant funds to the Board of Elections for the following. Increase the number of early voting sites and to double the number of sites in the city of Rochester. 2, install voting machines in 34 nursing homes in the county during the early voting period so that residents can safely vote at home and no members of the public will be allowed to use those machines while they are in nursing homes. There are between 5,000 and 5,500 nursing home residents in the county. 3, publicize and encourage voter registration. 4, have publications in English and Spanish, the availability of early voting sites to encourage citizens to use them to avoid long lines on November 3rd. 5, create shorter poll worker shifts and provide training for new crop of workers. It's my understanding that all the Board of Elections is in charge of our local efforts. Our county executive and legislature has the ability to provide funds to support these requests. It is our hope that when allocating these resources, we continue to look at the issues that keep our community members from being able to get to the polls. Of utmost importance is awareness of the wide array of languages commonly spoken in our community, in addition to English and Spanish. Publications on early voting, voting locations, and absentee voting in as many languages as possible will allow all voters to participate and receive this important information in the language they are most comfortable with. Thank you for your time in addressing these important issues. Our next email comes from Joanne Sassa. Even at this late hour, I asked Dr. Carbone and the Republican legislators to prevent Carla Boyce from the honor of renaming our airport for Frederick Douglass. She is unworthy to do this. Last winter, Carla sponsored and championed her so-called anti-harassment law, which disproportionately impacted city residents and persons of color. Living in distant Honeoye Falls, the whitest community in our county, Carla, in all her years in office, never encouraged Honeoye's participation in the important urban-suburban program. Black Lives Matter to Carla when there's something in it for her, like today's opportunity to shine before cameras and news reporters while she gives lip service to a man who earned the admiration and respect of a nation. Therefore, I ask you Republican legislators, even at this 11th hour, to substitute a colleague who better reflects the stature of Frederick Douglass. Our next email comes from Cherise Marie. My name is Cherise Marie. I'm a community organizer and one of the organizers who hosted the June 13th rally in Hilton, New York, where peaceful protesters and hit-and-run victim Emma Mason received unjustifiable backlash from MCSO. I've tried, along with other community leaders, to set up a meeting with Mr. Baxter to tackle his unfound claims as to why he has not pursued charges against the young hit-and-run thug. Since last month's legislature meeting, Sheriff Baxter has refused to charge 19-year-old Matthew Flagg with hit and run according to New York State Vehicular and Traffic Law, Section 602A. He has also refused to retract MCSO's erroneous and intentionally misleading press release to the media, minimizing the seriousness of the incident and shifting blame. Baxter has recanted his statement 3 times already and has made up claims such as victims' feet never left the ground and victim was unharmed. She was emotionally harmed and physically had whiplash pain and bruises the day after the incident, and she had to go to urgent care. Baxter also agreed to and then refused to have a full open meeting with Emma Mason and her supporters, citizens concerned with justice and accountability, who he promised in a July 23rd meeting to follow up with in one setting. He is trying to make Emma and supporters jump through hoops to meet with him. He keeps changing the parameters of any meeting with phony excuses to keep all concerned citizens separate and unheard, basically divide and conquer. He's attempting to hide his biased handling the incident from other public officials and the public in general. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office has established a pattern of passive-aggressive hostility and animosity via their inaction and biased law enforcement when crimes or threats against residents they believe support the cause of Black Lives Matter or are an ally. As the leader, Sheriff Baxter sets the tone for the organization. The injustice and behavior of MCSO engaged in is exactly the type of behavior people are protesting against. I am requesting an official investigation be launched into Baxter's unethical behavior towards Emma Mason and Black Lives Matter supporter. No matter the race, creed, or personal beliefs, MCSO should treat every individual with respect, equality, and justice. Thank you for your time. Our next email comes from Bridget Hurley. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. The COVID pandemic is impacting Monroe County's children in a number of ways. Unfortunately, it is widening already existing disparities, disproportionately affecting children living in poverty, those living with disabilities, and Black and Latino children. As federal and state relief programs end with no new supports in place, vulnerable children and their families will suffer most. Now is the time to join forces to advocate immediately and strongly for federal funding for schools and children's services. We must protect the critical programs that keep children fed, housed, safe, and educated. We also must demand that New York State avoid cutting essential services that they will not ask the county, and that they not ask the county to take on new costs. We commend the Monroe County Department of Human Services for the waivers they implemented to support both child care providers and their families during the COVID-19 crisis. We expect more flexibility will be needed as schools reopen, and parents will need a safe, supportive place for their school-age children to be when school is not open. Young children with disabilities have been left out of many discussions of the pandemic. Teletherapy has worked well for some children, but not for most. Parents report that regression is taking place and they don't know when services will be available consistently to help make up some of the lost skills. We need to do better for these children and families. Please feel free to contact me at the Children's Agenda if you'd like to discuss these or other issues facing Monroe County's young people. Our next email comes from Mrs. Poole. Regarding DAP for Monroe County, I am in agreement of this legislation. Thank you. And that concludes the public forum.
We will now proceed with the consideration of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk read the next item on the agenda,
Mr. President,
please?
Legislator Barnhart.
Yes?
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to discharge a referral from the Committee of the Whole. The specific referral is file number 20-0249. Enact a local law amending the Monroe County Charter to create a Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The administration did recommend favorable action and has answered questions about this department in a letter dated August 7th. And to ensure this important work continue, I ask that we discharge this motion.
Second. Is there a second?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to a roll call vote on Legislator Barnhart's motion.
Mr. Brew?
No.
Mr. Felder?
Yes.
Mr. Alcoffer?
No.
Mr. Ansello? Mr. Ansello?
No.
Mr. Ansello votes no. Ms. Barnhart?
Yes.
Ms. Barnhart votes yes. Mr. Broth?
Yes.
Mr. Broth votes yes. Mr. Baines?
Yes.
Mr. Baines votes yes. Ms. Boyce?
No.
Boyce votes no. Excuse me. Mr. Delahanty?
No.
Mr. Delahanty votes no. Mrs. DeFlorio?
No.
Mr. DeFlorio votes no. Mr. Dondorfer?
No.
Mr. Dondorfer votes no. Mr. Flagler Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Flagler Mitchell votes yes. Ms. Hassman?
Yes.
Ms. Hassman votes yes. Mr. Hebert?
No.
Mr. Hebert votes no. Mr. Keofit Lacey?
Yes.
Mr. Keofit Lacey votes yes. Ms. Lamar?
Yes.
Ms. Lamar votes yes. Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Lee votes yes. Mr. Mafucci?
Yes.
Mr. Mafucci votes yes. Mr. Marionetti?
No.
Mr. Marionetti votes no. Mr. Morelli? Mr. Morelli votes yes. Ms. Roman?
Yes.
Ms. Roman votes yes. Ms. Smith?
No.
Ms. Smith votes no. Ms. Taylor? Ms. Taylor?
Oh.
Ms. Taylor votes no. Mr. Turp?
No.
Mr. Turp votes no. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox votes yes. Mr. Wilt?
No.
Mr. Wilt votes no. Mr. Udelson?
Yes.
Mr. Udelson votes yes. Mr. Zale?
No.
Mr. Zale votes no. President Carbone?
No.
President Carbone votes no. 14 to 15, motion to discharge fails.
Mr. President, I rise to a parliamentary inquiry. What parliamentary law or rule of the legislature permits the committee of the whole to refer this referral, which came from the administration, back to the administration? Can you cite that, please?
That's before the committee of the whole.
It was before the committee of the whole.
It's not a matter for the legislature.
It's not a matter for the legislature.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 1, referral 20-0209, providing that resolution intro 271 of 2020 entitled authorizing additions to the Western Monroe County Agricultural District be lifted from the table.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Smith, seconded by legislator Wilt. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 2, referral 20-0209, providing that resolution intro 271 of 2020 entitled authorizing additions to Western Monroe County Agricultural District be adopted.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Smith, seconded by legislator Wilt. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 3, referral 20-0210, providing that resolution intro number 274, 2020, entitled Adopting 2021 to 2026 Capital Improvement Program be lifted from the table.
Move it, Mr. President.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Smith, seconded by legislators Boyce, Turp, Wilt, Hebert, Elkoffer, Dondorfer, and Delahanty. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 20-0210, providing that resolution intro number 274 of 2020 entitled Adopting 2021 to 2026 Capital Improvement Program be adopted.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator
Second.
Smith, seconded by legislators Boyce, Turp, Wilt, Hebert, Elkoffer, Dondorfer, and Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 5, referral 20-0223, providing that resolution intro 287 of 2020 entitled Approving Monroe Community College's 2020 to 2021 operating budget be lifted from the table.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Turp, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is a motion to be lifted from the table. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 6, referral 20-0223, providing that resolution intro 287 of 2020 titled Approving Monroe Community College's 2020 to 2021 operating budget be adopted.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Turp, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Legislator Morelli.
Go ahead, legislator Morelli. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to thank the MCC administration for being able to answer some questions that we had, and given everything that's going on in schools all across the country, whether it be down from elementary all the way up through higher education, MCC is doing an incredible job to navigate these waters. So I rise to just explain my vote and thank them for doing a great job, and I will be voting in favor. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much, Legislator Morelli. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great, item carries. Thank you.
Item number 7, referral 20-0227, authorizing creation of a diversity action plan for Monroe County, authorizing creation of diversity action plan advisory committee.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Flagler Mitchell, seconded by Legislator Turp. Is there any discussion?
I just want to thank everybody. Legislator Flagler Mitchell. Just wanted to thank.
Go ahead, Legislator.
Turp. I just wanted to thank Legislator Turp as well as both sides of the aisle, yourself, Mr. President, for working to put together a diversity action plan that is much needed in Monroe County. And I'm excited about this, and I'm looking forward to seeing this roll out. Thank you all.
Thank you, Legislator Flagler Mitchell.
Legislator
Any
Turp.
further discussion on this?
Yep,
Legislator Turp, the floor.
I'd also like to thank Legislator Flagler Mitchell for working with me on this. I think this will be the first step to try to bring unity to all of the residents of the county. This legislation aimed at bringing people of different walks of life, and also should allow those that have been unable to apply for these county jobs due to not knowing about them. It should give them an equal shot at working for them. So I'm honored to have taken part in this legislation, and then looking forward to passing this. I also am looking forward to passing the Office of Diversity and the Chief Diversity Officer once it comes through committees, and it comes through full legislation, as I'm sure the rest of the legislature is as well. Thank you.
Legislator Lamar.
Any further? Yes, Legislator Lamar, you have the floor.
I too would like to thank Legislator Flagler Mitchell and Legislator Turp for rolling out this plan. I think it's overdue in the county, and I'm looking forward to seeing a diversified county staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'd also like to congratulate Legislator Flagler Mitchell and Legislator Turp. I think it's just absolutely great the way you two work together. Congratulations. No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 8, referral 20-0230, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with City of Rochester to accept pass-through funding from United States Department of Justice for 2018 and 2019 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislators Alcoffer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 9, referral 20-0231, accepting grant from United States Department of Homeland Security Investigations, Rochester Division for state and local overtime.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 10, referral 20-0232, authorizing contract with Correctional Consulting, Inc. for monitoring of inmate medical and mental health services.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 11, referral 20-0233, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with Penfield Central School District for purchase of fuel for vehicles in Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by
Second.
Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislators Alcoffer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 12, referral 20-0234, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Churchville Chi-Li Central School District for purchase of fuel for vehicles of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
Move it, Mr. President.
By legislator
Second.
Boyce, seconded by legislators Alcoffer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 13, referral 20-0235, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with the town of Penfield for purchase of fuel for vehicles of Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Boyce, seconded by legislators Alcoffer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 14, referral 20-0236, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Brockport Central School District for purchase of fuel for vehicles of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
Move it, Mr. President.
Moved by
Second.
legislator Boyce, seconded by legislators Alcoffer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 15, referral 20-0237, accepting federal and state aid for operation and maintenance of Rochester Monroe County Traffic Control Center.
Move it, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by legislator Wilt, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 16, referral 20-0238, accepting grant from Genesee Transportation Council for DOT traffic signal and sign pole asset management program and authorizing contract with Barton LaJudas Engineers DPC for engineering services.
Move it, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by legislator Wilt, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 17, referral 20-0239, amending 2020 to 2025 capital improvement program to add project entitled Highway Preventative Maintenance Number 9 and authorizing contracts with Fisher Associates, PELS, LADPC for engineering services and New York State Department of Transportation for Highway Preventative Maintenance Number 9 project in the town of Greece.
Move it, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by legislator Wilt, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion on this referral? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 18, referral 20-0239.BR, resolution authorizing the issuance of $517,000 in bonds of the County of Monroe, New York, to finance the cost of various improvements to county highways in and for said county at an estimated maximum cost of $517,000.
Move it, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by legislator Wilt, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Next item.
Item number 19, referral 20-0240, authorizing contract with New York State Department of Transportation for maintenance of state traffic signal equipment.
Move it, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by legislator Wilt, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 20, referral 20-0241, amending Resolution 5 of 2017 to accept additional funding from New York State Department of Health for early intervention program.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Hebert, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Item carries. Next.
Mr. President, I just note that there's some members of the administration that are having a hard time hearing. I think it's because there might be members on the admin line. So we're just going to disconnect and then reconnect them. So bear with us one moment.
A few minutes, recess, in place. Thank you.
Hello, is the county legislation meeting still occurring? Hello?
Yep. Folks on the admin line, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Yes. All right, we'll be resuming at item 21.
Okay, item 21, Jay?
Right.
Ready? Item 21, Jay?
Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
Item 21, referral 20-0242, accepting grant from U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, CARES Act Provider Relief Fund, skilled nursing disbursement for significant expenses and lost revenue attributable to the COVID-19 pandemic at Monroe Community Hospital.
So move, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Heath, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President, this is legislator Zale.
Go ahead, legislator Zale.
Thank you, Mr. President. I honestly have no idea if this is an appropriate time to ask this question. So if it's not, let me know. But through you to the administration, I feel like I am the person that asks this every time. I'm just curious if there is somebody that is able to give an up-to-date amount of funding that we have spent through our portion of the CARES funding and subsequently how much we have left through you to the administration.
Administration get that? Is anybody on?
This is Alyssa Tallow from MCH. Through the president, our CARES Act money that was dispersed to Monroe Community Hospital is actually separate from the amounts that the county received. I can tell you that for us, we plan to use ours for lost revenues. So as it pertains to this referral, it relates to money that was dispersed to Monroe Community Hospital.
Thank you for that. I guess I wasn't clear whether that's coming from the larger pot from the county, and if it is, my question through the president, the administration, is how much money the county has spent and how much is remaining in that $129 million pot. And again, if it's not an appropriate time, that's okay. I just am curious.
It's not really related to this item, Legislator Zale. I think we'll save that for another time, okay?
Not a problem.
Any further discussion? Seeing none?
You don't think there may be an instance where you need cash?
What was that?
Okay.
Mine needs to mute.
Oh, okay.
Mr. President, Robert Franklin,
Yes.
Monroe County Finance. Just to get
Go ahead.
back to Legislator Zale's question, regarding referral 20-0242. MCH is using primarily all of their funding to replace lost revenues.
Understood. Thank you. My question was more holistic for the total $129 million pot. So I apologize if that's confusing. I'm just trying to find.
You start paying interest on that right away, yeah.
I'm sorry. Who's speaking?
There's someone on the admin line that's not participating in this discussion. If you could please mute your phone.
Legislator Zale, if Mr. Franklin wants to answer the question, it's okay with me. Do you want to answer that question, Mr. Franklin?
Mr. President, with all due respect, it's really not germane to this particular referral in front of the legislature.
I agree. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 22, referral 20-0243, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Chemung, Livingston, Ontario, Schuyler, Seneca, Steuben, Wayne, and Yates counties to provide public health mutual aid services in the event of a public health emergency.
Moved by Legislator Hebert.
Second.
By Legislators Alcoffer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 23, referral 20-0244, authorizing contracts with DeMarco Constructors LLC, DePasquale Construction Corporation, John W. Danforth Company, T-Bell Construction Corp., and Kaplan Schmidt Electric, Inc. for the Monroe County Jail Visitation Renovation Project.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 24, referral 20-0245, authorizing contract with Greater Rochester Independent Practice Association to manage the cost of healthcare claims and prescriptions.
Move it, Mr. President. Second.
Moved by legislator Delahanty, seconded by legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 25, referral 20-0246, authorizing sale of county-owned tax foreclosure property located at 883B Chili Center, Coldwater Road, in town of Chili.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Delahanty, seconded by legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 26, referral 20-0247, directing correction, cancellation, and levy of certain Monroe County taxes, City of Rochester.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Delahanty, seconded by legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 27, referral 20-0248, amending resolution 138 of 2018 to amend and increase the contract with the University of Rochester Medical Center to provide ventilator and pediatric unit staffing at Monroe Community Hospital.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Hebert, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, this is Legislator Hasman.
Go ahead, legislator Hasman.
I'd like to declare my interest. I presently work at the University of Rochester Medical Center.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 28, referral 20-0250, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with City of Rochester to provide joint planning services.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second.
Second.
Moved by legislator Hebert, seconded by legislators Elkhoffer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 29, referral 20-0256, authorizing renaming of the Greater Rochester International Airport located at 1200 Brooks Avenue to Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport.
Move it, Mr. President.
Second, Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Felder, seconded by legislator Boyce.
Mr. President.
Any discussion? Pardon?
Legislator Baines, Mr. President.
Go ahead, legislator Baines.
I'd like this honorable body to celebrate Frederick Douglass with a quote from him, not only at this juncture in our meeting, but I'd like to see it happen on a regular basis. So I'd like to read this famous line from Frederick Douglass. I prayed for 20 years, but received no answer until I prayed with my legs. Frederick Douglass. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, legislator Baines. Any further discussion?
Mr. President, I just want to congratulate all of us for being able to witness this time here in Monroe County. I am so excited to see this our Greater Rochester International Airport, thanks to the Frederick Douglass Greater International Airport. And on top of that, have an educational piece attached to it. I'm so excited. Thank you, Legislator Leader Felder and Legislator Boyce, for putting this together. Thank you.
Legislator Boyce, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Legislator Boyce.
I just want to also say how excited I am to be able to join with Minority Leader Felder to rename the Greater Rochester International Airport. And it is an honor because it's such a great man Frederick Douglass is in our community, and what a precedent this will be to all who will go there and know that he was a great leader in our community. So thank you so much. And I look forward as we move forward in this. And we made sure that the educational component was a very much important part of this. And so people will learn more about Frederick Douglass as we move.
Thank you, Legislator Boyce.
Legislator Lamar. Legislator Lamar.
Yes. Go ahead, Legislator Lamar, you have the floor.
I just want to say what a great time this is to be a citizen of Monroe County. I'm glad to see, or thankful to see, us working together to not only educate our community, but to heal our community. And I think that this is one way to do that. So I appreciate the authors of this, the community members, the people who signed the petitions, and those who kept their hands on the plow to get this done. I really appreciate it. I'm glad to be a part of history, and I'm glad that my children will be able to see this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Felder, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Legislator Felder.
Just wanted to say, one of the things when we did the bicentennial program, year-long program for Frederick Douglass a couple of years ago, we placed statues around the city, in particular, of places that were of importance to him where he walked. And it's amazing to walk around the city of Rochester in particular and see all the different places that he actually walked, and to know that he actually was a real citizen of this neighborhood, of this city, and of this county, and his work with the Underground Railroad, the North Star newspaper, his great speeches, a lot of it, for the lion's share of the prime of his life took place here, and I think it's very fitting that we give him the recognition he deserves by naming the airport after him. And I appreciate the support of all my colleagues in this.
Thank you, Legislator. Any further discussion?
Legislator Keo Fitlassi.
Go ahead, Legislator Keo Fitlassi.
I just want to echo all the positive sentiments of this legislation and thank Minority Leader Felder and Legislator Boyce for this legislation. I really do look forward to the day where I can say I'm flying out of the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport. I think it's very fitting, and I think it's very representative of the legacy of Frederick Douglass and Rochester and the city as a whole. So thank you.
Well said. Any further discussion?
Legislator Lee.
Legislator Lee, you have the floor.
Yes, I'd like to echo the same thing. And in my district, I am proud to have a statue that represents not only Frederick Douglass, but also Susan B. Anthony and how they worked for a common cause for the betterment of this community. And I hope and pray that we stay on the same accord. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Great. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 31, referral 20-0258, appointment of Commissioner of Elections, Jacqueline Ortiz.
Mr. President.
Move it, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Yes, Legislator Flagler Mitchell, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I object to the consideration of question. It has come to my attention that even at the request of yourself and Minority Leader to consider this matter, there is a conflict and this item may not be considered at this time. Currently, there is a court order that precludes the Democratic caucus and in terms this body from making any appointment on this position. This case is still pending, and before we consider it, we need to make sure the judge make a determination Therefore, I object to the consideration of the question.
Mr. President, Legislator Barnhart.
Legislator Flagler Mitchell has raised an objection to the consideration of the question. Per Robert's Rules of Order, the motion to object to the consideration of the question does not require a second, nor is debatable. It does, however, require a 2/3 vote. The question before the legislature is whether the next item in the agenda should be heard. A yes vote is in favor of considering the item, and a no vote is opposed to considering the item.
No court order.
We will
This
now
is
go
live.
to a roll call vote.
Those in favor of considering the next item will signify by saying aye. Those opposed to considering the next item will signify by saying no.
Point of order, Mr. President?
No.
Point of order, Mr. President, this is Legislator Morelli. What exactly is the precedence behind
This point,
asking whether or not this should be considered or not?
Mr. President, we got something on the floor right now. Can we proceed on, please?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
sorry,
go to the
Mr.
roll call
President,
vote, not deny the point of order. Let's go to
Point
roll
of
call
order.
vote.
I'd like the president to rule on the point of order.
President, you mind do the point of order is not in order during a roll call.
A point of order is not in order during a roll call vote. Thank
Mr.
you.
President, I asked the point of
Mr.
order
Felder?
prior to you going to the roll call vote. I'd like and ask that my point of order be considered.
Now, I'm going to deny that, Legislator Morelli. We're going to go to the roll call vote.
Mr. Brew
Roll call
votes
vote.
no. Mr. Felder?
No.
Mr. Felder votes no. Mr. Alcoffer?
No.
Mr. Alcoffer votes no. Mr. Ansello?
No.
Mr. Ansello votes no. Ms. Barnhart?
Yes, this is based on a falsehood.
Ms. Barnhart votes yes. Mr. Baroth?
Yes.
Mr. Baroth votes yes. Mr. Baines?
Yes, what's the factual basis of the objection?
Baines votes yes. Ms. Boyce?
No.
Ms. Boyce votes no. Mr. Delahanty?
No.
Mr. Delahanty votes no. Mrs. DeFlorio?
No.
Mrs. DeFlorio votes no. Mr. Dondorfer?
No.
Mr. Dondorfer votes no. Mr. Flagler Mitchell?
No.
Mr. Flagler Mitchell votes no. Ms. Hassman?
Yes, this is an outrage.
Hassman votes yes. Mr. Hebert?
No.
Mr. Hebert votes no. Mr. Keough-Lacey?
No.
Mr. Keough-Lacey votes no. Ms. Lamar?
No.
Ms. Lamar votes no. Mr. Lee?
No.
Mr. Lee votes no. Mr. Mafucci?
Yes.
Mr. Mafucci votes yes. Mr. Marianetti?
No.
Mr. Marianetti votes no. Mr. Morelli?
Yes, and you, Mr. President, and every other member who
Morelli
votes
votes yes.
no.
Ms. Roman?
Yes, what happens when we realize that we've all been lied to?
Smith?
No.
Ms. Smith votes no. Ms. Taylor?
No.
Ms. Taylor votes no. Mr. Turp?
No.
Mr. Turp votes no. Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox votes yes. Mr. Wilt?
No.
Mr. Wilt votes no. Mr. Udelson?
Yes.
Mr. Udelson votes yes. Mr. Zale?
No.
Mr. Zale votes no. President Carbone?
No.
20-9, the objection to the question is sustained. That concludes new business.
There being no unfinished business, Legislator Brew.
Yes, this honorable body stands adjourned until Tuesday, September 8th, 2020 at 6 p.m.
Maybe
Thank you.
before